Hi, my name is Ariel, and today I'm going to show you how I plan on creating the buttons for my future Unreal projects. Um, I've been using the basic methods of creating buttons, just adding a button and then adding a text to it, and it's decent and it obviously works, but the main issue that I had in my previous prototype was that after I created the entire game, I decided that I wanted to update the visual style of the buttons too to reflect the visual style that I was going for in the rest of the game. So I had to spend a lot of time updating each one of the buttons, like changing the color and changing the font of every text block, and it's very time consuming. So for my next project, I'm gonna create just a custom button that I can update in just one place, and it's gonna update the entire project. So it's a lot easier to just maintain one button and not have to chase down every button in every UI widget that you create. So the first step to accomplish this is gonna be to create a new button component, and we're gonna do it going to blueprint class and searching for button here. So this is gonna create a button component, and I'm gonna call it my button. And here I can change its properties. For example, I can change the color of this, and let's say that I'm gonna tint it in a slight reddish hue, and I can already use this. This is already usable. If I search for my button here in my main UI, I can already add this, and I can add a text block if I want to. And this is gonna work exactly like any other button. You can click on size content, and the main difference is that if, for example, I duplicate this and I have it here, I can now go to my button component and I can change the tint here. So for example, if I want to make it a slight bluish hue, just compile and save, and now my buttons are blue. And this is already usable. This is pretty good. But I also would like to do the same thing for my text blocks because I also don't want to be chasing every text block in my entire game to update it to the final font, for example. So I'm gonna repeat this basically the same process. I'm gonna go to blueprint class and I'm gonna search for text block. And here it is, and I'm gonna call it my text block. So I can go here and search for my text block, and I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm gonna add them to my buttons. So this is already working, even if it looks basically the same. Because if I go to my text block component and let me organize my windows here. So for example, I have this, and as you can see, if I go to the font settings and I change from Roboto to Roboto Mini, sorry, Tiny, you're gonna see that this is gonna be updated on the fly. So this is also pretty good and pretty useful. You're not gonna have to be chasing your text blocks in your entire game. This is great. But I also like to add animations to my buttons to make them feel more alive. And the default animation that Unreal includes in its button is just basically changing the color of the button. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my own custom button, and it's gonna have an animation included in it, and I'm gonna launch that animation every time that I click on that button. So I'm gonna go to user interface widget blueprint, and I'm gonna call this one my custom button. This custom button is going to use the my button and the my text block component, so we can use this custom button and update its properties right in each one of these components. So I'm going to add a canvas here so I can actually organize things. I'm going to add my button to the canvas. There we go. I'm gonna say that the anchors are gonna be a stretch to the whole screen. I'm gonna change the offset right and offset bottom to 0, and I'm gonna add the my text component. to my button. All right, this is working. So let's not forget to click on size to content. So we are not gonna, so we don't have any weird issues afterwards. I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave them here just so you can see the difference. There's not gonna be too much difference besides the animation, and I'm gonna drag my custom button. So if I now click play, everything works basically the same. So no change yet. So I'm gonna go to my custom button. I'm gonna select my button, but first I'm gonna rename it button and button text. And I'm gonna go to the animation tab. I'm gonna create a new animation. It's gonna be called click animation. I'm gonna click on this. I'm gonna select the track, and it's gonna be the button, and I'm gonna select its transformation track. So what I want this button to do is whenever I click on it, I want it to shrink a little bit and then expand and then go back to its normal size. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say that my scale is gonna be 0.9 at the beginning. Sorry, at the beginning is gonna be 1. Once I click it, it's gonna go to 0.9. Then it's gonna go to 1.1. And then it's gonna go back to 1. So how does this look? Let's see. It's a little bit slow, but it's useful. It's usable for this. Maybe I can just drag this a little bit. Sorry. And I'm gonna move this one here. So perfect. All right. So now I have my animation. It's called click animation. I can go to my graph editor here, and I'm gonna first of all select my button, and I'm gonna click on the on click event. So I'm gonna drag my animation, and I'm gonna say play animation. And now this is an important part. If you check your sorry my if I see my custom button inside my main menu UI, you're gonna see that unlike the rest of the buttons, this one doesn't have any events here. So it doesn't have the usual on-click event that you can use in your other buttons. So we have to fix that, and it's easily fixable. We just have to create an event dispatcher, and we're gonna call it on-click. And after we play our animation, it's gonna call this event dispatcher. And if you check your my custom button inside your main menu UI, you're gonna see that now we have this on-click event, and you can add whatever you want here. And it's gonna work exactly like another button. So for example, if I play this now, you're gonna see that this one doesn't do anything, and this one kind of jumps, and it looks really pretty. So one thing that you might notice here is that there's no way for you to actually change the text here. Unlike this one that have their own text block, we can't change it here. So we have to fix that too. So I'm gonna go to my custom button, and I'm gonna go into the event pre-construct, and we're gonna do it here because the event pre-construct is also called inside the editor. So you're gonna be able to see the changes that you do right on your editor, and you don't have to wait for your game to start. The event construct is gonna run once the game actually starts. So that's an important difference. I think that this one also runs once the game starts, so that's good. But if we want to do anything that changes on the editor, we have to do our changes here. So what I'm gonna do is, first of all, I'm gonna go to the designer, I'm gonna click on my text block, and I'm gonna make it variable. I'm gonna compile, and I'm gonna go to my graph, I'm gonna drag my button text, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna set its text. So I can click here, and I'm gonna promote this to a variable, and it's gonna be called custom text. And now we're gonna make it instance editable, so you can actually modify the values inside that in your instance. And we're gonna add it to the category, yeah, sorry, content. And We are also gonna add a default text. Good, good. So if I go to my main menu, and I have to remember to also click the size to content here, you're gonna see that now we have and the option to change the text inside our button. So for example, I can say hello, and we can update the style of this button using the my button or my text block component. So for example, I'm gonna change this color to pinkish hue. Oops, there it goes. And you're gonna see that it's already updated. So I can click on this and it's gonna jump like this ones, and it doesn't have the same issues as these other two buttons. So that's basically it. You can add whatever you want here. I'm gonna duplicate this just to show you that you can really add any event. And for example, I can click on my on-click event. You can also create your own events for the on hover or whatever you need. So go crazy with that. But for this example, it's only going to be the on-click event. So I'm gonna click the plus button and I'm gonna print hello. And my other button, I'm gonna change its content to hello again. And I'm gonna click on the on-click event. And I'm also gonna print something, and it's gonna be hello again. So now I can play the game. This doesn't do anything. This one says hello here, and this one says hello again. So it's working. They have their own animations, and you only have to update them in one place. For example, if I want to add a little wiggle to my button animation, I could go to the animations here. Let's click here, and maybe I'm gonna make it rotate a little bit. That's too much, right? Okay, 5 minus 5, and then it's gonna go to 0. So now it does this weird thing, really weird, but let's see how it looks. So you see, you can create a lot of things with this, and it's really useful. Now, if you're smart about it, you could create like your own buttons with a lot of functionality already included in them by basically doing the same procedure, but just going one level deeper. Like, for example, creating a new widget object with just the my custom button inside it with all the functionality that you already want, and maybe you can expose some parameters, for example the next level to load or whatever you want. So that's your call, and I hope this has been useful. It's a pretty interesting subject, and see you in the next post.